change of today, partly because the person who was supposed to come on and talk about it, the insurance carrier, had to go to he's in El Paso for an agent meeting all day. So it'll be next week. We will talk about level funded from the carrier's perspective. So I apologize. A little bit different. So I thought this might be kind of just a Q&A. If you want to turn your cameras on, you can, or if you want to ask questions. What is it about group that you have questions about? Is it how to start with group? Is it what's the difference between level funded and regular? And, just what is your questions regarding group? So this will be a little bit more open Q&A. So again, I apologize if you were tuning in just for the level funded part. We will do that. It'll just be in a couple of weeks or the next month. So I'm opening it up to you guys. What questions do you have as far as how to deal with group? What are you thinking of? And if nobody has a question, it'll be a very short meeting or just me talking.
Hi, Kris. This is Belinda. Good morning.
Hi, Belinda.
I've had several opportunities for group. They always seem very excited when I talk with them. They give me their census information and then come back, present it to them, and then crickets. They disappear.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what is it I'm doing wrong.
Are these small businesses?
They are. They're usually less than 50.
All right.
In most cases, less than 25.
Okay. That's the majority of mine are less than 25. One of the things I have noticed with that group is there is no HR department, right? It's usually the owner.
Yes.
And I think what happens, and it's not necessarily you, it's totally a them versus you situation. They are overwhelmed and they need constant, is there something else I can do? Is there something else I can do? Do you need more information? I think one of the things especially as brokers with those smaller groups, the more you can tell them, I will help you walk through this. You do not have to explain this to your employees. The more you seem like a resource versus, okay, it's one more thing I got to do. And for what, because it's not a current benefit. So it's something that gets easily pushed back onto the back burner. They keep pushing it off and pushing it off. I've had a few small businesses, construction guys that was like 6 months later, they're like, okay, now we're ready. So it's usually not you, it's them. If you can, as much as possible, follow up with them, even though you think maybe I'm being a pest.
Yes.
You can, right? And I'm like, I don't want to pest you too much. You can say, if you've chosen not to do this, that's fine. I don't want to pester you. But I also know as a business owner how busy you are. And sometimes this can get pushed off to the side, and anything I can do to help take that burden off. I think sometimes having owned a business with 17 employees, I am the same way. I just go, oh crap. And it's just one more thing. And if I can hand it off to them, hey, I'll come out and tell them about it. You don't have to do anything but the employer portion, right? So it's really not you, but definitely don't feel like you're pestering them too much. I think obviously if you're doing it every day, that's too much. But they came to you, they were interested. There was a reason they reached out to you. So reach out, a couple weeks later, give it another couple weeks, but be honest and say, if you don't want me to pester you, I don't want to pester you. I'm just doing this to make sure that you remember I'm still here to help you. And I give it 3 months of pestering.
Okay.
And then after the 3rd month, I pester them at 6 months.
Okay.
And then at the year mark.
Good.
So
I appreciate that because you're right. I was getting to the point where I was calling once a week.
Right.
But it's like going to voicemail, and sometimes you can tell they sent me to voicemail. It didn't just ring, and go. And so I'm like, you contacted me and said you needed this. What's happening? So I will follow up with them today, as a matter of fact, a couple of them, and see, what happens whenever. Thank you.
And definitely do email, because then they can, if they're like me, I'm not even looking at my emails during the day as much as people think. I'm looking at mine at 7 o'clock at night. So then, I'm not going to call somebody at 7 o'clock at night, but I can respond to an email. So, do the voicemail, because I think it's important for us to call, but do the voicemail and then do the email and say, I'm going to send you an email as well if that's easier. One of the coolest things I learned from Andy was make sure your client can contact you however it's important to them to reach out to you, whether that's by text, whether it's by email, whether it's by a phone. Now, that doesn't mean you have to give them your personal phone number. None of them have my personal phone number. I kind of draw the line. I'm sorry, after 5 o'clock, I'm not here. Doesn't mean I'm not working. Doesn't mean I'm not responding to emails, but I don't like giving out my cell phone. And so, but however they can reach out to you, make sure you have texting set up, make sure you've got voicemails, emails, Calendly. If you guys don't have a Calendly link so that they can set up the appointment at their time, get yourself a Calendly link. It's worth it. It's inexpensive. And then they can make the appointment easier instead of back and forth calls or emails or whatever. So make it as easy for them as possible. If you're in a networking group, I would ask your networking group, as small business owners, what is the thing you need the most? Start kind of researching that, because it's usually not about you. It really is about them and just being overwhelmed. When you are a group of 50 or less, you might, if you're under 25, there is no HR. It's the owner or the owner's wife often. Maybe it's a sister-in-law who works for the company. When you're 25 to 50, you might have an HR person, but that HR person is about hiring, payroll. They're not a benefits specialist. They're not in that realm either, but at least there's somebody who can handle it. But when they're under that 25 life, it's usually the business owner, and they have so much on their plate. And I try to keep it friendly. And we just had one. They just reached out and said, we're sorry, we dropped the ball last year and we want to pick this up again.
Okay.
So,
thanks.
Yep. All right. Who else has a question? It's all easy. You sell lots of group. I will tell you, when I first started, my very first group was actually a husband and wife that had 3 children. And it was cheaper for them to offer group insurance than it was for them to have their whole family being paid 100% on the marketplace. Back then, they made too much to get tax credit. And they've grown ever since then. They found a young group. They're all IT people. So I think the owner's the most expensive. One of the things I have learned, especially from him and from others, is give them what they want, not necessarily what they need, but you also show them what they need. I had a client who insisted they wanted health insurance. They kept saying, I want to offer health insurance. And I didn't actually show them that option because it was a horrible choice in reality. They didn't pay their people very much. It's a very small retail store. It's a very niche retail store. And they wanted to offer health because they had this one person who they really wanted to offer health insurance, and she was going to leave her other job to come back. But their daughter, who was one of their employees, she's on the marketplace and she's in the 93 percentile of the CSR. She's got an amazing plan for $2, and all of their employees fall into that category for the most part. So I chose not to give them a health quote because it didn't make sense to me. And I kept trying to show them on the marketplace how it would be better for the individual employees to get it on the marketplace and they could offer ancillary products. And I don't know what they ended up doing. I don't know if they actually have health insurance or not, but I ended up basically giving them not what they asked for. So I don't have them as a client. And my daughter goes to their store all the time and stuff. And I try to, I have no animosity towards them. And I realized I should have just given it to them, right? Let them make the decision that health insurance makes no sense for us to offer. Even though I was telling them roughly this is going to cost you $500 per person and all, they wanted to see those numbers. So when somebody comes to you with a quote, absolutely quote them what they're asking. Now, since then, I quote that health insurance so they can see what it looks like. And then I will also quote the marketplace saying, if your employees are making less than $40,000, the marketplace might make more sense. I will be your dedicated agent. Every new person you come, you can go, we have an agent who's going to help you enroll in the best plan for you. And I had a small business that in math wise, it would have made better sense for them to go on the marketplace. But he told me it's a landscaping company. He said, I can't do that. They will go somewhere next, they'll go down the street to the other landscaping company that offers health insurance. I've offered to pay 100% of their health insurance. All they had to do is go and find it, and they won't do it. So for him, even though the math seemed to make more sense to go in the marketplace, for him, in order to keep his employees, he offers health insurance. So sometimes we don't always know what the reasons are. Offer both options because I think I want my clients to know I'm always looking at alternative options. I'm always trying to find the best thing for them. I always ask, are you looking for better benefits or are you looking at the cost, especially when you're under the 50 life? Okay. Sometimes they're not looking for good benefits. They just know they need to offer health insurance, but they don't have a lot of extra money. So, okay, they want a bronze HSA plan is what they're looking for. Then I layer. I'm always layering. Don't ever underestimate layer. Always offer the layer. If you're going to go with a high deductible bronze plan, Mr. Employer, where your employee ends up in the hospital with a $7,000 out of pocket, isn't it worth the, I don't know, we'll just say $90 more to offer them this gap policy or this accident policy or something to help them with that high deductible plan? And I've never had a small business say no. No, we're not going to do that because they do get it that if their employee ends up in the hospital, 7,000 isn't necessarily what they have laying around or 9,000. But they can't afford to pay a gold plan. And then I've had other small businesses that are like, no, we run a really rich plan. I don't want to have my 25-year-old landscaping person with a $5,000 deductible. They won't know what to do with that. So they wanted a really rich one. So that's another really key question to ask is, are you looking for better benefits or is price the primary concern? It's not necessarily about the culture. They're just, they want to offer health insurance because that's what they need to do to keep their staff, to hire new people. They want to offer that as a cultural thing, but then you should also offer the ancillaries. I offer ancillaries every single time. I don't care if they ask for it or not. I always give them, and here's what dental vision would cost you, life insurance, gap coverage, accident coverage, because a lot of them think it's going to be expensive. And then they look at the prices and they're like, oh, well, that's really cheap. So always offer it, whether they ask or not, just offer it. So Eleanor said, does this deal with group life or just bot medical? I'm not sure what you're asking. If you want to unmute, you can ask that question. This is about group insurance, and it can be group life insurance. It can be group medical, accident coverage. There are ancillary product companies that are really good for that lower demographic, the cheaper or the smaller ones, the 20 life or less. So Kris, Johnny says, we still using the Advantage series for Manhattan Life for group. You certainly can. There are lots of ancillary products and ancillary companies. You can use Manhattan Life. I love Colonial Life because they'll go down they only have to have 3 employees, but only one person has to be on the plan. And there's no other carrier like that. Aflac's closest, but Aflac usually requires a minimum. So I use Colonial Life for those really small companies because, hey, they're going to handle everything. You can do Palick accident. You can use Manhattan, National General, Allstate, who's Will's going to be on next month talking about level funded. They have some really nice ancillary products. They have a new dental through Beam. There is no wait for majors. Like, what? That's unheard of. Instant major coverage for a group of 5 people. So always offer the ancillaries. There's never a reason not to. I worked with the Humane Society here in Sheboygan. They have something like 32 people on their board, which is insane. And they wanted to offer health for their salaried people, and they wanted to offer ancillary to all their full-time people as well as a salary. And for some reason, they didn't want me to offer life. They kept thinking, oh, it's nobody's going to want that. Well, I offered it anyways because I met with each individual employee. Most of them were under the age of 27. And I'm like, look, for $100,000, you can get a $100,000 term life policy for $2 for the next 30 years. Yeah, I'll take that, right? Or I got a few that bought whole life insurance. And it was the number one ancillary product that was purchased was life insurance. And they originally were like, I don't think people are going to want that. But we just put it on there because it was through Colonial Life and they offer whole term, accident, and all that stuff. Always offer the ancillary products. So yeah, it's not just medical, it's life insurance, Eleanor, it's any of those group policies. In fact, I have a lot of groups that have ancillary as their benefit, but not the health insurance because it doesn't make sense because the health insurance is still very expensive. They're not there yet. I have a company who has been, they know it's coming, that they're going to have to offer health. They have probably 40 lives right now, so they're 10 more lives away from having to offer health insurance. They're doing some stuff through the business. They're doing some remodel and expanding, so they're not quite ready to offer health. They know it's going to probably happen next year. I have been working with the gatekeeper, the HR person, for 2 years. And I have been trying to get her to comprehend that offering ancillary products, they don't have to pay for it. I don't think her brain is comprehending that. And she keeps saying, well, we don't want to offer something that we have to go back on. And they do have some people who may or may not be here legally. And so she's like, well, some of them are worried about that and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's voluntary benefits. You don't even have to contribute. You have 40 plus people offer the ancillary products. Just offer them dental, vision, short-term disability, accident coverage, and life insurance. And she's like, oh, she kept humming and hawing. I had a meeting with her 3 weeks ago where the owner was finally in the room with me. The owner is actually the decision maker, not the HR person. Now, this woman runs the office. She's more than HR. I swear, she's one of those people that if she disappeared, the whole office would be in chaos because she kind of knows everything. But I finally got the owner in the room with me at the same time, and we were talking about this, ancillaries. And he went, wait a minute. We can offer these benefits and we don't have to contribute. And I went, correct. And he goes, let's do it. It took getting the owner, the decision maker in the room with me. And so now we're running through the quotes and they're going to be able to offer all these ancillary benefits a year in advance. I'm like, this is just getting them in preparation for then, hey, now we're going to offer health insurance as opposed to throwing all of it at once. So, sometimes, as you said, how Patricia says, how do you approach the owner to start the conversation? That really is kind of, do you want to offer benefits? And by the way, it doesn't have to cost you anything. What? What? Yes. And then often, not always, but often they'll go, oh, well, this is so inexpensive. I go, yeah, if you offer $10 a paycheck and they get to purchase whatever ancillary they want, that's a benefit. If with the owner, and I was just at NAHU 2 weeks ago, their big, it's not NAHU anymore, it's NABID, but conference in the C-suite people, which is also the owner in a smaller company, may have very different ideas of benefits versus the employees. And I think as brokers, we need to learn how to speak C-suite and owner verbiage and employee comprehending of the benefits. Don't assume that the C-suite or owner is looking for cheap or even the money. The question with the owner to start a conversation is, how can I help you offer things to your employees that keep them in your job? What are your concerns for your employees? Is it culture? Is it turnover? Or I don't want turnover? Because health insurance and benefits is going to help with a lot of that. They're going to help with money. If you pay better benefits, you have less turnover, so you save money because you don't have to keep training new people. if you have a happy cultural place because they're feeling like, all right, this company's taking care of me with my health, they're happier, they work better, it brings in more money. So start looking at different ways. Do I talk to the C-suite people, the decision makers, versus the HR person, right? The HR person is dealing with the employee day in, day out. They're the ones who hear the complaining. Just had an HR person in my office who says the owner doesn't care. He has no concept of what our health insurance is because he's not on it, but he's great. He's got a great culture. So that's talk to the owner about what is it that they want from benefits? What is it that they're hoping to hear from their employees when they get a new person? So somebody's unmuted. I'm not sure who's
doing that over the phone, clearing a lot of things up. Boom,
making the noise. Oh, it's Robert. All right. There we go. So think about, if you're an owner of a business, again, if you're in a networking group, ask them, what is it that you're looking for from benefits? If you were offering benefits to your staff, why would be the purpose? To better culture, less turnover, maybe they're having a hard time hiring. I mean, that's actually pretty common, right? They're having a hard time hiring people. So Eleanor, you said, is there a company that offers life to a group that is not a business, like a church group or a motorcycle group? So a church group, as in not employees of the church, or an LLC, there are some out there that I've heard of, but it's usually not worth it because it has to come from a paycheck. One person has to pay. So there are some ways, like electricians that are part of the union. So the union benefit, right? So now they've joined the union, they become that. There are some companies out there that, especially they started pre-ACA, where you can kind of join their co-op and then you can become a part of their benefits. There's a company that I have sold their dental plan, and that's what it is. So anybody can sign up, and you get the rates as if it's a group policy because they're a co-op. So now you're joining their co-op to get, an extra. You get your dental cheaper. You get the life insurance. You actually can get the guaranteed almost always on some of those co-op ones. If you're interested, I can send you some information on that. And that could be through a motorcycle group or a church group where they're not actually employees, that they're saying, hey, I would like to get life insurance or accident coverage. Those co-op-y type of groups can, in fact, I can even tell you who it is. They've changed it a few times. Usually it's an association, so like AFE association. When you join that association, which is going to have let's just say a monthly fee of $10, then you can get dental and vision. It does change because of rules and regulations. AFE USA used to offer short-term disability, which was excellent for people who their employer would not offer it, and it was guaranteed issue. But then due to rules and regulations, they no longer offer that. So there are those co-ops that you can join to be a part of it. For that type of situation. So any other questions in there? Is that it? You guys are easy. Eleanor, if you want to send me your email, I can send you a link to that. You're not going to make a ton of money off of it, but you are going to get that benefit, referral, the fact that you are now the person that they can go to, they can send their other employees to, their connections they hear. You would be surprised how many referrals I get from companies that I really don't make much money off of, right? I help them get dental. What are you going to get? $20 a month if you're lucky. And so, but then they know somebody. One of the companies that I think we're going to win from a huge company, one of those big, massive brokerages, that is going to come to me because I helped with the Humane Society. So Colonial, it's just ancillary products. It's through Colonial Life. It's not extremely lucrative, but as I said, they have 25 people on their board. This was one of the people on that board. So I was kind of happy about that. So yeah, so don't turn away business if you're like, oh, I don't know how much money I'm going to make. Next week when Will is, or next month when Will is here from Allstate, when we talk about the level funded, the nice thing about the level funded groups, most of them, you can write your commission on there. You can ask for a higher percentage than the average. Companies like United Healthcare level funded, it's a $15 per employee per month. That's their standard. You only get paid $15 for the employee. You can change that. You can ask for more. You can say, well, I want $30 per employee, or I want $15 per member, including the spouse and children. You have to be upfront. The group is going to find that out. Hey, I have no problem with the group realizing that I make money. I've never had a group come back and say, you're getting paid too much. Not once has that ever happened. I'd rather quote a group at like a 12% interest, a 12% commission rate, and then go, okay, this is the rate. And they're like, ooh, that's a little more than I can afford. All right, let me bring it down to 8%. That gives you a little bit buffer versus quoting a group at 3%. And they're like, okay, that's what I'm gonna take that. And then you're only making 3%. So that group side, you're gonna have a lot more control over what you bring in versus the marketplace, which those of you that know me know I love the marketplace. Not complaining. I got my first time ever making 6 figures was selling the Affordable Care Act and layering. But group insurance is going to be more lucrative. It's going to be, you get to get 20, even if it's $20 per employee per month for a group of 20, you're doing a group of 20. And while it's a little bit heavy at the front end because you're getting the quotes together and you have to enroll everybody, but after that, it's very passive income. They're the easiest to take care of. And then renewal happens and you're like, all right, I like that plan. You don't like that plan. You want something different. You start adding group after group after group after group. You're going to make more passive income from your group than you do with the ACA or even Medicare. In fact, that's my personal goal at my own business, is that my group side will completely outpace my Medicare and ACA income that my company makes within by the end of 2025. So that's my own goal within 1 year to basically outpace 10 years worth of business from the other two sides. Group is, I don't want any of you to think you can't do group. So if you need help, reach out to North American. If it's something simple, I can help a little bit. I'm not an expert. I feel like I'm kind of, every time I do something new, I learn something new and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't have a 300 life group. In fact, I've learned there's a whole bunch about 300 life group that I'm like, wow, I did not know this. So you can do it though. There is help out there. Don't ever walk away from a group if unless you just don't want anything to do with group. Okay, walk away with group. But I'm assuming if you're on here, you're interested in group. The carriers will be more than happy to help you. I've learned of some enrollment platforms that will help. One, depends on if you want to give it to them and they split the commissions with you. I have another enrollment platform, as long as you offer Colonial Life, because that's what they're required. They take a override, but you still get full commission. They'll enroll people for free for you. So don't ever think you can't do this, no matter what size the group is. The smaller ones, sometimes the smaller ones actually take more work than the larger ones, but you can do this. I will tell you, not in August, because that's going to be the level funded, talking with Will and kind of how that works. In September, the thing we are going to talk about is fiduciary responsibility as group employers and brokers. There has been some massive changes. There is definitely laws coming. If you're one of those people who like to research what's happening with the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic was sued by one of their employees for lack of fiduciary responsibility, and she's going to win. And she's not the only one. The state of Minnesota has been sued. So there's a lot of fiduciary stuff coming, which makes everybody get all nervous. But in the HR world, they all know what that is because they have to deal with that with the 401ks, the money. This is the same thing. There's going to be some turnover. As brokers, if we're ahead of that curve, if we tell our employers and our clients, hey, I want you to be absolutely above board, you cannot get sued. I mean, well, anybody can get sued, but you can't lose. It also protects you as a broker because even in this Mayo Clinic lawsuit, the broker is listed. So don't think, well, that's not me, that's the employer. You will. Don't think you can't get sued too, because you have to cover your own butt as far as the fiduciary. So that's going to be in 2 months. So that's going to be in September. I'm still working on getting all of that stuff because it's a lot to make sure that I'm giving you as accurate information as possible. So yes, I see Zalem. Is that, if I say your name wrong, what question do you have?
Okay, you can call me Z. Hi, Kris. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm new. Even I
Yes.
didn't join. I'm planning to join under the North American Insurance Services.
Okay.
But I try to get some information, but I couldn't get how, it might be not, related with today's topic, but, all about the insurance, the health service, the Walmart thing and everything.
Mhm.
And I was asking how it works, how the commission works, but nobody could tell me. They told me from North American Insurance Services, this is not our responsibility. You have to call the carriers. When I called the carrier, they told me it is your IMO, it's not us. So I'm just in the middle, I need, somebody, if they are
Sure.
applying, they have to tell me all the structure, how it works and everything. I'm eager, I'm ready to join, but
Are
I'm
these
already licensed.
are these carriers that you're currently contracted or you're asking for when you
No,
get
no,
contracted?
no. When I'm planning to be contracted,
Okay. With
so
group, it's whatever you want.
no, not with group life insurance. That comes later. I mean, the group thing and everything. But I was attending the seminars and everything, with Walmart thing, Allstate,
So are you
and
talking about
life insurance.
individual?
Yeah, individual life insurance and the Walmart, Allstate, the Walmart thing also. Yeah.
So if you'll have to talk to Todd over at North American. Priscilla, I don't know if you want to have him reach out to them.
Todd.
Todd. And I'll have Priscilla have them follow up with you. It will vary by carrier. Allstate, it's kind of standard in the contracting paperwork. You're going to get a contract and it's going to be right there.
Okay.
So I think that's why it varies. Every single carrier is going to be different.
Okay.
Now, if you do back 9 for life insurance, I like back 9. It's so easy to use. I mean, it is like, great, I can quote 12 carriers at the same time. You're going to take less commission than if, like getting my contract direct with the surety versus using back 9 to get to a surety. But the ease of using back 9, which is a great enrollment and quote platform for those of you who have not heard who back 9 is, but back 9, and I'm contracted through them with North American, makes it so much easier to me that it's worth it. Now, I can still use back 9 to quote, and I do have a direct contract with a surety. And so I don't use, if a surety turns out to be the correct life insurance or short-term disability, I do go to a surety and I just sign up directly. But if it's a company I've never, like Pacific Life, I have not directly contracted with Pacific Life. Yes, if I went and contracted with them, even through North American, I might make a little bit more commission. But with the back 9, it's just so easy that it's worth it for me to lose a couple points. And because that's how back 9 makes their money. So it's going to vary every single carrier, which I think is partly what they mean when North American says you kind of have to talk to the carrier. Because there's different contracts for all of them. But when you get the contract, it will say right on there. And you can, before you commit, I mean, you don't have to sign that contract. If that contract says you're only going to get 0.7%, you can go, well, no, this isn't worth it. You don't have to sign that contract. But to try and see every contract for every carrier. I think that's what they mean. You're going to have to talk to the carrier. But like Back9, I'm seriously, that's my favorite life insurance portal, because it's so easy. It's the difference of changing your own oil, going to a mechanic to change the oil, or going to the quick one, right? Like I will pay the extra $20 to go to the Valvoline rapid oil change because I'm in a hurry. But then other people are not. They change their own oil because it saves them $30. So there's not a really easy answer for this. Sorry to just say, I don't have a blanket answer for you, but that really is what it is. Do you want the ease, or do you want to do direct enrollment with all those life insurance companies? Particularly life insurance, because like I just got a letter from Gerber. I haven't sold anything for Gerber in a year. So they're like, all right, we're going to take away your contract. And then the next time I sell Gerber, I have to go through it again. Is it worth it with life insurance companies to constantly do direct? Especially if I want to give people the best one, I want to give them options. I use Back9. That way I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's what I need. If I have an upline or IMO, I think I have to have somebody to guide me. This insurance company is good, for life insurance, for health. You go with this, from their experience. But I couldn't get that. I asked somebody, but he said, even I'm not a life and health insurance service agent, he said. But I'm trying to contact him, but he couldn't. So I'm
Back9,
really stuck somewhere. Is there any way to contact you, or there?
Well, I'm not in the contracting department, so but
no, I mean,
but
to get some
Back9,
information.
Priscilla, if you could make a note to have Back9, that's who I use. They're the experts. What's the best one? What's the they will talk you through all of that, which is again why I like Back9. Because life insurance is its whole different entity, but the life insurance person, Kevin, he should reach out to you. But again, he's not part of contracting. That's the contracting is its own entity.
Yeah. I know.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And if you're like want to know a specific, what's my contract if I sign up with Pacific Life, they probably can find that. But to just say what is it for everybody, I don't know that you're going to be able to get that, because every carrier contract is going to be different.
Okay. So do you recommend to talk somebody from North America? And you said Todd? Is there any way?
Todd is the contracting, but Dave is in charge of life. And he can talk about life insurance companies with you. Some of the contracting he knows because of just different carriers he knows, but I'll have somebody over at North American reach out to say, who's the best contract or contact to discuss it.
Yeah. What about the Walmarting, the Allstate Health?
For which one?
The Walmarting, the Allstate Health.
The Allstate. Yeah, that would. Does Allstate. It might be Andy. To tell you what that contract is too. Yeah, it's kind of funny that even like groups. So I got a renewal for a group for Allstate, and I was like, no, I want you to improve. I want you to raise this my commission. And they're like, oh, we're gonna have to talk to North American to get permission. And Andy's like, yeah, of course they can. Like it was a little bit weird. So I think sometimes the carriers are a little bit trying to give the uplines too much control when the upline's like, no, we already have our contract, whatever the agent needs, give it to them. So I couldn't tell you what the percentage is. That's not really my wheelhouse. Even in my own company, my business partner handles all that because I just sell insurance and hope I get paid. So I will have somebody reach out to you. If you want to reach out to sales@na-insurance.com and very specifically say, this is what I'm looking for. Kris said there's somebody there who can help me, but you're going to end up talking to different people because we kind of have our different silos, right? Life insurance is its own thing. Allstate's its own thing.
Okay.
So maybe pick one, just go, okay, Allstate. I want to work with you with Allstate. What is this contract? Is this for life? Is this the ancillary? Is this the short term? As opposed to too broad of a subject. Try and slim it down because that will help them know who to send it to the right person.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody else? got something that they're want to know. And Eleanor, I do need your last name, by the way, to send this, but.
Oh,
No, that was for
my,
Eleanor. She wanted me to
no.
send her something. And it makes me put in a last name. Anybody else have any questions? For group insurance, anything that's you want to know? Is everybody in a networking group? That's one of the questions I want to know. Is anybody in networking or not in networking? Or want to question about, does networking work? Nope, you guys are good. So, all right. I just recommend networking. There's cheap ones, be part of your chamber. There's BNI, there are networking groups. There's online ones if you're somebody who works online in multiple states. Network, and networking will bring you group business. There are small businesses and networking groups trying to build business. And if you're in that networking group for small businesses, you will get referrals. So I guess if that's it, we can end today. It will start again next week. I apologize. Level Funded, he ended up having an emergency meeting in El Paso that he had to get to. So everybody else, we will talk about Level Funded in August. What that means, it's kind of the buzzword. In September, we will talk about fiduciary responsibilities. And then the plan right now in October is to talk about self-funded, just to kind of let you know, way in the future when you start working with 75 plus lives, level funded and self-funded, they're pretty close to each other, what that means. So.
Hey, Kris, one quick
Yes.
question. You're
Sure.
going to be at convention next week, right?
Oh, of course I am. Yes, I will. And those of you who are going to be there, I'm very excited. Come say hi to me. I will be running around with a badge or, something. Come up, say, hey, I'm so-and-so from however I know you, whether it's from this group, whether it's from the ACA group. I love names. I will probably ask you your name a couple of times. So please, by all means, reach out to me if you're at the conference. It's always good. And then Johnny just did put the phone number for NAIS if you want to call them direct. Their email, their basic one is just sales@na-insurance.com. I think one of the biggest things we can do as an agent that can be a negative is try and take on too much. We've got so many ideas in our head. There's 40 different things I want to show them all these things, or I want to learn all these things. Try and keep it simple. Remember the KISS, keep it simple. I think that is going to help you more than just about anything else, is pick one thing. Life insurance. I really want to dig into life. Okay. But if you're trying to dig in life and Medicare and it's too much, life insurance is its own animal and it's kind of amazing. And I went, yep, I need to give that to somebody else. I can't be an expert in too many things. I learned to be an expert in ACA. Now I know that one inside out, backwards, forwards. And now I'm like, all right, now I'm working on group. Let me really learn group insurance. After group insurance, I don't know what I'll do next. We'll see. I'm always learning. I'm always liking to learn, but I love to learn lots of things. Try to narrow it down. Keep it really simple. Say, what is this product, whatever it is, accident, and learn that, and then add the next one, then add the next one, so that we're always learning. Thank you very much, everybody. We will talk next month. Reach out to sales at North American if you have any questions. You can call them on the phone if you would rather have a conversation. You can even go to na-insurance.com and there's places to schedule appointments to actually talk to people. So if you need that, let us know. I appreciate you all for checking in, and hopefully you have a great July, great summer, and we will talk next month. Thank you, everyone.